Hello, Bryce Tubbs here. Today I'm going to talk about how to make your content as irresistible as a box of donuts in the office on a Tuesday morning. So I'm going to share my screen, hop into the thing because I made a really good detailed Google document. So I want to make sure that I can hit every single point, so I don't miss stuff out. Because sometimes like when I'm just talking without points, it can be a little bit I can miss some certain things. So I want to make sure I get this for you correctly. So this post answers the question I got asked. Bryce, I keep posting and posting, but I never seem to get clients. It's either crickets or I get sympathy likes from my friends and family. Now, this took me a very long time to understand. I've spent about $1,500 on books to learn how to make written and video posts that are effective at bringing in clients. I meant to do this because I was so bad when I started my accounting and bookkeeping firm. It was like between like 2014 and 2015 was when I started, because I had been thinking about it for a number of months before I actually pulled the trigger. So it would look like I would literally take like 3 days to write a good like blog post. I would do so much research and put so much time in like spell checking and grammar checking, but I never got much traction on my posts. And I would even make like brochures for my business that people immediately threw in the trash. Um, or I would like hand it to them at like a networking event. And then like 20 minutes later, it would be in the trash. Like at least take it outside before you throw it away. Like literally, I would literally see it in the trash. It would just like have like stuff all over it and stuff. Like, oh my gosh, at least like take it outside, like have a little bit of respect. But that's what happens when you're not good. You generally don't get the results. Um, I'll even talk about like how much I spent on just like writing courses in general. Now who am I and why could this video be helpful for you? So currently I run a six-figure accounting and bookkeeping business that I started back in 2015. And we've all helped that number is actually a little bit higher now. It's getting close to 203 students start and grow their accounting and bookkeeping businesses inside of our mentorship program. Also, if you want help growing your income so you can live a life of freedom without having to go through a lot of the different struggles that cause most people to fail, click the link either above or below the video to see if and how our mentorship program can help you. So, kind of diving into this thing a little bit deeper. So, I started reading a lot of books by like Dan Kennedy, Robert Kiyosaki, Napoleon Hill, and like that. This point in my career, I've been writing for about 9 years, and I developed a strong grasp on content. So I hope this post helps you save, way more time than it took for me to learn. And this post can save you really, really 3 to 4 years off of your learning curve. So, for example, like marketing needs to be like a box of donuts inside the office, like when you're on a diet, right? It's the coworker who goes to local donut stores, bringing the box of donuts. And the problem is that if you're on a diet, most people can resist them for like the first time they pass by. But like the more time you walk by the donut, the more that the donuts start calling you, right? Your mind starts playing games with you, and you start imagining what they might taste like, and you give in, right? You don't care what the donut costs. You don't care how many extra burpees you're gonna have to do to burn them off, all those excess calories. They just wore you down. It's the same thing we do with potential clients, right? So we make great pieces of content. You help them understand why they're experiencing certain problems, and then you share why what they've tried in the past does not work for you. You show up about 1 to 3 times per week, and after about a month of seeing your content, potential clients generally reach out to you. Now, the first few times this happened, I was so confused, right? Because like potential clients were like, "Hey, can we do a phone call?" I was like, "No, I don't want to connect with you. I want to get clients," right? It would be like these business owners, just random business owners, especially on my LinkedIn profile, because I used to do a lot of like writing around like accounting and stuff. And it would literally be like, no, I don't want to connect with you because I used to have this thing that like business owners would get on the phone with me and they just wouldn't want to buy from me. Like I was just so bad at sales when I first got started. Um, and it was just like I just did not want to do any more connection phone calls. Like I did not want to do any connection. Like if it was connecting, unless it was someone wanted to buy from me, I just did not want to talk to them on the phone. Now, I eventually I would like directly do it because I just literally kept getting people just reaching out and say, hey, I like your post, can we talk? And it was just like when they got on the phone, even though I thought they were trying to connect, it was really just code for they wanted to talk, but they didn't want to come across as like they were desperately looking for help and didn't want to like play their cards. So they actually decided they're going to work with me before they got to the call. And that's the power of making great content. So how to structure your content. And like another thing too is like keep in mind this wasn't just like magic. Right? Not only did I spend like $1,500 on like writing books, like I spent so much money like sitting there with I spent like 3 grand a month to sit with this lady who told me how to like write both Facebook posts and LinkedIn posts. I spent another 7 grand on like this one course that showed like how to like make posts that got people to like do a bunch of different activities and stuff and get them to want to work. That cost me like $7,400. I did another post or another program. It was like HR, like how to write posts that get contractors and stuff to actually want to work with you and understand exactly what the opportunity of working with you is. Right. So like I spent a lot of money in this content, and one other thing too, like I am getting pretty good, right? I think my best piece of content I've ever written has gotten me $75,000. Now it might be close to 100,000 because there's one person who came back recently who is looking to be a referral partner and like a subcontracting partner. So they're going to give us about $30,000 per year worth of work. So I'm not lumping that into my $75,000. I want to lump that into the $100,000 from one post. But yeah, so, we are starting to get really good. It's one of those things where, like, the more money that you invest both in yourself, your education, and different things that you have going on, the easier it is for you to get that money back and like return it. So it's just kind of like, I keep like spending money on like how to get good posts, how to make good videos, then also how to get more people to see those posts and videos. Because really, at a certain degree, when you're really good at copywriting and like just writing and speaking in general, it's really more about like the number of business owners that are seeing you exist. If you're going like more lower ticket, like $500 per month, if you're going more ultra ticket or high ticket, where it's like $10,000 a month or $15,000 per month, right? Then it's in a lot of cases more about like the targeting and just making sure the right people see it. So it's kind of like a kind of good balance. Like I had this one student in the mentorship program, his new student. His name is Ooze, right? He's an amazing writer. Like he is so good. He had this one lady come on the phone, I think about a week ago, who was doing about $500,000 a month, so $5 million per year, right? And that contract is between $10,000 to $15,000 a month. She basically had seen all of his different Facebook posts because again, he's a really good like writer. He's really good at making content. And I'm kind of gonna break down some of the different things I've learned as far as content, but this stuff, when you get it right, just works so much easier. And then eventually all you need to do for your marketing is just like literally make about 5, 10, 15, 20 posts, probably about 20 to 30 different posts that you make. And then you can just start doing what's called spinning them. Spinning just means like you keep like tweaking slight words and situations and stories in order to take 20 posts and turn them into like 60 posts, right? And then once you have 60 posts, you can just keep repost them up to Facebook because you know they work. And then all you have to do is just go and focus on getting new people to see your stuff and just having it be kind of active. So we'll touch on that and just kind of like dive a little bit deeper as we kind of go. Now, it's crazy. Okay, so the acronym that I like to use when it comes to structuring your content, thinking about writing your content is Poopy. Okay, Pupei. Now, not the coolest name I know, but it works. Okay, I learned this from the book Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Kennedy. Now, this book gave me so many great pieces of information about content, but I needed a way to simplify it so I can make content way faster and I wouldn't even have to think about it. So, Poopy stands for problem slash pain, underlying issue, like why did this happen? Points slash tips, examples of the problem you're solving, and then invitation to a call. So the first P is for the problems that they are facing and highlighting the pain that they're feeling or have felt inside the past. Now, they call the act of describing pain as writing a page in your potential client's diary. Now, if you can show that you understand what they're going through, potential clients see you as more of an advisor and they listen to you because they trust you. Now, that's the first step. Okay. So one thing that I get asked a lot is like most people don't actually know what are the different pains that a business owner goes through. Like a lot of the times when we're first starting out, especially for me, I didn't really understand why a business owner would pay, 5 grand a month for accounting and bookkeeping services. And it wasn't until I actually started talking to more business owners. So that I actually understood it. So how you can start researching like what are the real pains that someone's going through. Number one, you just get on more consultation calls. Number two, you could get on connection calls with the business owners and start asking them what's going wrong with their accounting. Like, are they having cash flow issues? Are they having trouble budgeting? Do they not know how to make a forecast? Do they not know how much money to spend on advertising? Are they struggling with payroll because they just hired like a bunch of new employees? They just don't know what they're doing. Is it just that they just don't have a good system to do it fast? Is that they're overwhelmed with all the automation? Like what are the different pains that the people are going through, right? And it's gonna be different for each person. Now, this is why some people like doing like a niche, right? Because when you do a niche, you only really have to start learning one to like three main types of personalities of the business owners you're going to talk to. So for example, let's say for example you're talking to like we'll say like a therapist, right? There's only so many different variations of therapists. There's therapists that accept private pay, there's therapists that accept insurance, there are therapists that are solo practitioners, there are therapists that own what are those called? Agencies where they have multiple therapists underneath them. There's different size of agency, but there's not that many variations. So once you understand the pains and problems for that industry, it does make it a lot easier for you to write content that speaks directly to them. And then as you start getting more and more clients, right, you can just talk to them on a day-to-day basis. You can interview them once you've done something good and get like a testimonial, but you can utilize the testimonial for what is that called? For customer research, for you to make better quality content that speaks to more people who are exactly like the clients who are already paying you money. Then it becomes this like feedback loop, right? Because every new client gives you new problems you can talk about. Then when you talk about those problems, it brings in more people who are exactly the same as those existing clients, and you get more clients, and then you just keep looping and looping and looping and looping and looping and looping, and it gets bigger and better and stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's really how I think about like problems and pains. That's why like over time, I'm never really able to run out of content. The only time you're really gonna run out of content is number one, if you don't really have personal stories you can tell, or two, if you don't really talk to enough business owners, which is kind of why like they talk about like the rich getting richer, right? Especially in this industry. Like if you notice a lot of people, it's either they have like, 5, 10, 15, 20 clients, they're making like, 10 grand a month, or they're making like, 1 0 to $1,000 a month. There's not a lot in between. And the reason why is because once you understand this stuff, it's just a matter of time that your income keeps going up and up and up and up, right? And it really becomes a point to where you kind of either keep going up or to where you get satisfied. Now, for me, I kind of got satisfied right around the 500,000 to $600,000 per year mark. Now I'm kind of coming out of that, so you're going to see probably some major changes just across everything, and really see me kind of like go all in for like the next like 2 years. Um, but for a while it was just kind of a thing. I was just kind of like on autopilot because it's just like all I had to do is just come on, talk to people inside the mentorship program, run my accounting business, just talk to my controller, see how my clients were doing, see if there are any kind of like big major issues or if they needed me to bring in more clients and just what exactly was happening. And it was just very, very autopilot, to be completely honest with you. But now it's kind of like I'm seeing some of my friends and like other masterminds I'm in, like they're, some of my friends are getting like $2 million per year, and I'm still sitting at like 500, $600,000 a year. I'm sitting there like, oh crap, I need to kind of get back in the game, and not because like I need money or anything like that. It's just more of like, what could I be accomplishing if I, didn't stop, or if I didn't kind of relax so hard. So it's time to go and attack and just really get this thing going. So the next letter inside of Poopy is the U, which stands for the underlying issue. Now, why does this happen? Okay, so next, you want to take the previous step a little bit further. So not only are you looking at like their pains, right? So they need to start seeing that they can't just fix the problem by hiring someone extremely cheap or by trying to DIY it, do it yourself, right? So the section is very key because you can start showing off your skill set and separating yourself from all of your competitors in your potential client's eyes. Okay. So the reason why it's really important is a lot of people say they have like a problem, right? But it's really a symptom of the underlying problem. So they say, okay, at the end of every single month, I seem to run out of cash. Or at the end of the year, I know I made a lot of money, but the money inside the bank account is not really that much, right? That's a symptom of the underlying problem. They don't know how to really account for anything. They don't really have any tracking during the year. They don't really know where they are. It's just they're kind of hoping that if they sell more, sell more, sell more, sell more, they'll be able to pay their bills, right? For example, I knew a gentleman who he had like I think it was like an insurance company, right? And we were working with him for a number of years, and every single month before he started working with us, his wife said, "Hey, the bank account is getting low," or "Hey, we're gonna really break even this month." And he said, "Okay, I'll just sell," right? And he was really good at just like selling just enough policies to kind of meet the current bills that were needed, right? And it was like that every single month. So always felt like he was on a hamster wheel, right? So he just didn't know how to budget. He just didn't know how to budget. So we kind of helped him sit down, helped him prepare a budget, made sure you know exactly like, okay, so this is how much you can spend. So you don't have to be doing this. This is how you can start creating recurring revenue. And this is how you can be able to start getting off that hamster wheel and start having a more kind of relaxing lifestyle. Um, One thing you'll know is like, I always like having like a relaxing lifestyle. I never really wanted to have like, a quadrillion dollars, people be working like 50, 60, 70, 80,000 hours a week, have like 90,000 employees. Like, that could be cool, but the longer I'm inside the game, like I can see like how much money you can make without having like a massive team. It's very interesting to me, right? Because one thing that this I read or I saw in a video from this one guy. He said, "Business is not just about, like, how much you sell. At the end of the day, business is about, like, how much you make and how much time it takes to make that," right? Because for me, for example, I like to I like to make a pretty good living, right? But I also like to have a lot of free time. So I like to have time to, like, go salsa dancing. Like, yesterday, I went to 4 salsa dance classes in a row, right? So I basically ended my day at about 6 it was no, about 5:45. I drove, 20 minutes to the dance studio. I got there at 6, like, 10, um, and then I started dancing, so there's, like, 3 classes in a row, so I got to learn a bunch of different skills. I got to go and meet my friends, I got to go talk, and they have, like, a later dance social afterwards, right? But, if it took me a million hours per week to go and make a good living, then it's like it kinda defeats a lot of the purpose, right? I also like every Thursday night, I like going and seeing a movie with either with my brother or even my dad, because we don't really see each other as much as what we could. Because my brother works with me inside the mentorship program, like, doing a lot of, like, the marketing, the posting. But, I think outside of work, we don't really see each other that much and don't really talk, right? So we've started doing that. I've also started doing more of, like, every Friday night, we go out to, like, a fancy like, a different restaurant. Sometimes it's fancy, sometimes it's not really fancy, unless you consider, like, Outback Steakhouse fancy. Right. I really do like that. The last year and a half, I started eating a lot more of like steaks and stuff. So I started eating more of like first it was like New York strips, and it was like a porterhouse. Then now I've really started settling on like ribeyes, right? Because I like eating a lot of fat. Like I remember when I was a lot younger, when I was a baby, I used to like chew on the fat of like different like meats and stuff. My mom said that's exactly what my grandma used to do. So it's almost like I kind of like inherited that kind of from her, even though I never met my grandma. And it's just like nowadays, I'm kind of on like a pretty good diet, as far as like keeping my weight down and really like toning up and stuff. But I do like going and getting like a steak every once in a while, at least once a week or like twice a week, just depends on like how I'm kind of doing diet wise. Um, but yeah, but again, it's all about really showing off your skill set and separating yourself from all of your competitors in the potential client eyes, right? Because if they ask you the question, why should I hire you when I can hire someone up the street? Or if they start saying things like, I think I could do this myself, it means that they have not really seen your value and they do not really think of your skill set very highly yet. That just means they're just not educated, number one, on maybe why they need accounting and bookkeeping, and slash, or it might just be like they just don't really understand why they need to use you because we did not differentiate ourselves. So content is the thing that's going to make it a lot easier. It can be harder in a lot of cases to try and get on the phone and then arm wrestle with someone as to why they should think that you're, really, really valuable. In some case, you can do that. Like if the person's very, very unsophisticated, they just don't know anything about accounting and bookkeeping, right? And you give them a couple, like one or two tips, and then they're like, whoa, that's amazing. But as you start getting to some of these higher level business owners that are like, doing a million, 2 million, 3 million, $4 million per year in take home income. We're not just talking about revenue, but in take home, right? They start getting a little more sophisticated. And it's more, they just need to trust you a little more. So it's not necessarily a value thing, it's more of a trust thing. Like, do they trust that you're the person who has the right skill set to take them to that next level, or at least avoid, messing things up? Now, the next P is going to be the point slash tip. Okay, so make sure you want to break down accounting in very simple terms. If a third grader cannot read your work, you are not going to be able to get the adults to consume your full piece of content. So your content needs to be both easy to read and informative. The reader needs to feel like they have learned something from spending time with you. Now, there's a little bit of a balance, right? So there's entertaining, there's motivating, there's educating, right? So whenever you're writing content, this is something that I kind of messed up, or not messed up, but I'm still always like learning. Your goal is to, number one is to motivate them to keep reading. Number two is to educate. Number three is to entertain. Now, if you go too far down, so if you entertain too much, it's like cool and they're like ha ha ha, and they kind of walk away, right? Versus if it's like educational, they might learn something out of it, but they just don't really find any means to either finish consuming it or to take any action on it, right? So you really want to have a good balance between motivating and then educating. It's kind of ironic because it's kind of like if like being too entertaining, it's almost like imagine you're at a bar, right? And maybe if you're a woman, right? Some guy comes up and just tries to tell you a bunch of jokes. It's like ha ha ha, really cool, but then at the end of the day, you just kind of walk away. It's just like that was fun, but nothing else really happens or goes anywhere. Not all the time, but in some cases, right? Or if you're too educating, right? It's the same as like you going and sitting in class and like that boring teacher just giving you a million facts, and it's just kind of like, oh, your eyes kind of glaze over. You just don't want to listen to them, and it's just like, it just doesn't go anywhere. Versus someone who's more motivating. Have you ever had a teacher? At least for me, I had a teacher one time. It was a psychology guy. He used to go to Harvard. So he talked in so much passion about the stuff that he was talking about. It wasn't that it was overly like wasn't that was overly like interesting stuff he was talking about, but the way he talked about it was very interesting. He was motivating us to learn more because there was so much inspiration inside the way he was speaking. It's the same thing with our content. We want to make sure we're motivating, inspiring people to keep taking action on the education that they just learned to then go and want to work with us. Now, if we have enough of that, it's going to be very easy for you to get people to want to work with you. Now, again, the reason why I put it has to be if a third grader cannot work or read your work, you're not gonna be able to get to adults to consume it, is because most people do not really have time or mental capacity to read something that is hard to understand. So one thing that I always like doing is running my writing through like an app called Hemingway app. So it's basically like this app, it basically highlights complex sentences and common and like spelling errors and stuff and just different sentence structure errors. And like the goal here is always get this writing down to anywhere between like a 2 to a 3 to a 4. Ideally a 3, but like sometimes what happens, like I make really long posts, I just can't get it down to a 3 because a third grader generally is not going to read 15,000 words, right? So, but I always like to run stuff through that just to make sure that it's very simple so that people actually want to go and consume it, right? Because the whole point of content, there's no point in you spending an hour, 2 hours, or however many long times you're going to actually like spend writing this stuff if no one's going to read it, or if they're going to start reading it, they just kind of like fall off. So you're constantly trying to get better at like getting people to read it because it's more and more simple. Now, you might be thinking writing with the third grade reading level is stupid because business owners doing 7, 8 figures a year in revenue are not going to respect me if I use simple language. Actually, they're going to appreciate it even more because the simpler the wording, the easier it is to read quickly. Remember, successful business owners love people who save them time. And as a bonus, if someone understands what you teach them, they feel empowered, right? They feel amazing because this is the first time they'll understand accounting. And then they will, sorry, spelling issue. Let me edit this thing. Then they will go back. Yeah, then they will associate those good feelings with you because the better that they feel when they spend time with you and your content, the more money they're actually gonna be willing to pay you. Now, this is called being the expert, okay? Because the more they consume your stuff, the more they understand you, they know you. It's almost like you're writing like a book, and like the longer someone like spends reading your book, the more they like you and the more they actually trust that you can help them out because your content is actually helping them out. Now, to ensure your content is at third grade reading level, I'll just kind of put that and just told you the Hemingway tool. So I'm going to skip that sentence. The next E stands for example. So it's an example of you solving this problem for someone else. So this is where you show that you are in demand and have helped other people who are in the exact situation. Now, this is where you can show off a little. Okay, this step causes future clients to daydream about what it is like to work with you. Now, this could be solving something for another client, your previous employer, someone on a consultation call, a friend, someone who paid you for with a coffee, etc. It doesn't have to be like this giant paying client. It could just be anyone who you ever helped with these different things. Now, the more of these examples you have, the better. And also, don't think that you have to have done a miracle like saving the company $1 million or $2 billion, right? It can be a small win. Small wins can be as effective as large wins since they are more relatable. A good example is a student's had the mentorship program named JT. Now, he found $5,000 in undeposited funds for one of his clients. And when he told this story on his Facebook profile, right inside of like the written post he was doing, 3 people commented on his post and they signed up to pay $750 per month. That's $750 per month. Sorry, 750, 750, and $900 per month, respectively. So you can also include an example of when somebody didn't take your advice and what actually happened as a result. I call these like horror stories. Now they're also extremely effective. Now keep in mind though, like on that post I talked about JT, like a good amount of people that actually saw that post came from one of his partners who connected them together on Facebook. So one thing that can make your content work even better is by having influential partners recommend that their friends and clients listen to you. Now, once you're able to go and get the trust, then everything else is a lot easier. So I actually published a book. It took me a pretty long amount of time to write this, but the book walks you through exactly how to get your first or next 6-figure partnership. Now I'm going to be putting the book up on Amazon in the next few weeks, where the price can be about $21.99. However, I have a special price as a way of saying thank you for supporting my content, like being a part of my Facebook group, my YouTube channel, or even watching this via like my LinkedIn profile. So I value your continued support. I really thank you for watching. So I want to say thank you and show you that I really value by putting the book at a special price of $4.99 on my website. Now, if you want me to send you a link to go and get the book, comment 6FP and I will send you a link to do it. Now, that's 6FP book, and I will respond in the comments or give you the link so you can go and get the six-figure partnerships to my book for only $4.99. Okay. So finally, let's go back into this. The final letter we have is the letter I, which stands for invitation to a call. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. Like, here's where you collect on the value, in parentheses, money that the previous steps have built. So you're inviting the reader to a call. Generally, if they feel like if they've made it this far in their content, then they're pretty serious about getting help. Now, include a link in the post for like the person to book a call on your calendar or talk about working together. Now, this is the easiest way to get leads to start coming to you. Like some people talk about like they just want like the right clients to come to them. So if you know how to actually like make good content, you put like a link to like maybe your calendar, like a Calendly link or whatever, then people actually will click on it. They fill out like a form to basically just talk about their business and make sure like you can view it, just see if they're at least a good fit, like if they have budget, if they, like the size of the company, XYZ, just based on your criteria. We do have another video on the channel, I believe, that talks about what to include inside of your pre-call booking form so that you can make sure the people who are talking to you are very qualified. But yeah, but then they just show up on your calendar, you talk to them, it's very simple, very easy. Now, over time, you're going to start to notice which invitation phrasing works the best for you, and you'll be able to copy and paste it across all of your posts, right? And that's it. That's how you create good posts that make content that are irresistible as a box of donuts. Now, let me know your thoughts, or if you have questions. Whoa. Or if you have any questions. I think this writing was a little bit small. Oh, it was a 13 font. Interesting. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions inside the comments and I'll answer them as we go. Or if I have time, I even make another video for you to answer it. Also, if you want help growing your income so you can live a life of freedom without having to go through the different struggles that cause most people to fail in their accounting or bookkeeping business, click the link either above or below the video to see if I can help you inside the mentorship program. Now, some people wait to do this, they end up, running out of steam and end up living in the same spot for years. When all they have to do is just reach out, get help, and finally basically reach the life that they want. Also, like if money's tight right now, like I understand, like we have different payment partners that can get you funded so you can get your foot in the door and start the program and get off to the races, right? So you can just pay it, get your foot in the door. It's one of those things where it's like I never wanted money to be the thing that stopped people. So then when I was first getting started, I only had about $2,000 in cash left, and I had like $3,000 on the credit card. And the first mentorship program that actually worked for me, I had to pay the guy, it was like $7,800. So it was just kind of like, if he didn't have funding partners, if he didn't offer like a payment plan for me, I would never even be kind of in this position I'm in now. Because that was the thing, that was like the last ditch effort right before I like quit entrepreneurship. Because I started like, an e-commerce website. I had done like Amazon FBA, eBay. I like tried to go and sell websites. Like I tried so many different business ventures and I just was not, I just did not really make any progress or steam. And it was just like, at the time I was like, maybe I'm just not cut out to be an entrepreneur. Maybe this maybe it's for some people and maybe I just don't have the skill set needed to actually make this stuff work. And, I really almost gave up on it because I was running low on cash and I was just like, what's the point of me working so hard if, it's never really amounting to anything. I'm not really making any progress towards my goals. And, maybe I'm just like, I can just, kind of just do what I have to do. Just, even though it's not I don't like the company I'm working with, or I don't like working for other people, like, maybe I just do it. But instead, I found out, this is the options. I took advantage of it. I showed up on the call. I used exactly what I did have to go and get into the program. And then I was off to the races and then I never looked back. So if that's you, you can go click on the link inside the description either above or below the video. Book a call with me, see if I can help you out. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.